We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyer's Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyer's Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyer's Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
Welcome back to another edition of Latina's Role Model, and I'm Otero. I'm hosting the show today, and we've been talking about Latina's Role Model here and changing the image and the stereotype that we have among women here that exists, that we are just homemakers, they take care of the children, when actually we are also professionals and we can handle both. In fact, more than one job, like in some of the cases, like in my case per se. And today we had the pleasure to speak to Tatiana Woolrich. So she's our role model today. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here. And I am from Mexico. I was born in Oaxaca, which is a city located in the south of Mexico, south on the Pacific area. And I remember since I was a little girl, around 3-4 years old, I started taking dance lessons, acting, piano, and somehow I found out that being on the stage was my world. It was a place that made me happy. So I grew up with the dream of someday being on TV, for example, doing TV commercials, doing what I was watching on TV, what that girl was doing, but it was like a dream because my city was a small city and we were far away from where the real thing was happening. So after high school, I tried business management for a year, then I tried international relations for another year, and I couldn't find what really was my path, and I studied translation to become a translator. I love languages, so I started learning French, English, and Italian. And after 3.5 years, I have the opportunity to start modeling. It happened, and I found out that through modeling, I was able to pay for my acting classes. So that's how everything started. I decided that it was my passion, that it was my dream, that was like my goal in life, and I started acting. And through the years, of course, it was not easy. I had a lot of bumps.
Yes,
but
that's
also
everybody's
modeling,
story.
I know, but you have to keep trying.
Yes.
Get up, like nothing happened, and move forward. And with the time, I was doing very good in the modeling industry. I was able to have steady jobs, and I had the opportunity to do theater, to do some movies. I have participated in 6 movies already in Mexico, and TV, which is something that I really like. And somehow, someday, I got an invitation to come to Miami to Sábado Gigante with Don Francisco. And it was a 2-day shooting. It was awesome. It was a new experience to me. But the moment I crossed the bridge from Miami to South Beach, because I stayed with my roommate, invited me to stay for the weekend. She's from Puerto Rico, by the way. I was crossing the bridge, and somehow I fell in love with Miami. And I thought, this is the place for me.
Where you belong.
This is where I would like to work. This is where my soul vibrates. I'm happy. And I saw that it was different from Mexico. In Mexico, for example, when I was modeling, all my best friends were at the same time my competition.
Oh yes, it is so different. I mean, even it depends on if you're in Mexico, Miami, and you go to another state in New York. There's always going to be a different culture, many different ways on how this handled. So what would you say that you're doing right now that it's you using all your talents that you're mentioning when it's acting, modeling, and all that. How do you put that into, what are you using your skills right now at this time?
I just got here to Orlando 2 months ago. I am new in town, new girl in town, and I'm actually starting all over again. To make a long story short, I've been here for 15 years already. I was thinking back, and I arrived on December 99. That was when I decided to leave Mexico and give myself a chance here in the United States. It's been 15 years now, and during this time, I built up my life, a career, everything. But things happened. Back in 2009, my mom was diagnosed with cancer back in Mexico, and I think that has been crucial in my life.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to put things on a balance. I asked permission at work and they say, no, you can't leave. And at that moment I thought, what is more important at this moment?
Family is
a job, I can always get a job, but my mom is my priority till today. So I left. I stayed with her for 8 months. I was with her through the period of the surgery, the chemotherapy, all the treatment, and it was one of the strongest experiences that I've ever had.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom, by the
Thank
way.
you. She's doing great. Thank God. She's a warrior. She's my biggest example in that, But by being in Mexico and leaving the States all this time, my finances went down. And 6 months from there, my money was gone. So when I came back to the States, I had to start all over. It took me 7 months to find a job. It was a period of time when the market
crashed.
It crashed.
Yes.
Everybody was losing their job. It was really hard. So I was living in Fort Lauderdale, and I found a job in South Beach. I thought, what did I do? What was my first job when I first got here in December 99, when I was just looking to survive? And
so that didn't stop you. So all the obstacles are coming, running out of money, living in the city that you're no longer in Mexico where you feel comfortable with your family.
Right.
You went for Lauderdale, you started fresh. Wasn't that a little bit intimidating or perhaps doubtful, or you just got encouraged because you said you could do it?
When you're in survival mode, you have to do it. And to me, to tell you the truth, it was a little bit embarrassing thinking, how am I gonna work in a restaurant again when I've done TV, movies? I've worked with Eugenio Derbez. I had the chance to work with Kate del Castillo, for example, little roles, but I mean, it was part of my career. How am I going to be a hostess in a restaurant now? But I learned that I had to do what I had to do, and that no job is to be ashamed of. It's the opposite. And at the restaurant, I learned that the people that were the harder workers, and that they even had 2 and 3 jobs, were our Latin people. And they were working in the kitchen, they were working as buzzers, or they were an example to me. So they encouraged me to, keep a smile on my face and do my job and be proud of it. And that helped me survive and get back on track.
Do you think that helped you build your character as far as being, overcoming the challenges, having to be humble yourself to work as a hostess, and being in, you get to see all kinds of people in the restaurant.
Yes.
And so did it bring you down to say, this job doesn't define me, I'm better than that?
Yes, that's what I learned. I'm not what I'm doing. I am who I am regardless. And there was one time when I saw one of my best friends from Mexico. She came here on vacation. She didn't know I was working there. And when we met face to face, I was ashamed. I was like, oh my God, what is she gonna think? But all of a sudden, then when she gave me a hug and she's like, oh my God, you look so pretty, you're doing a great job, the restaurant is full, I've seen you working. And I thought, it doesn't matter, whatever you have to do in order to survive, and as long as you do it good, with pride, with your heart, it's fine.
I agree.
Right.
So tell me, what would you say, what advice would you give to these young women that want to start a career, that they don't have the expenses to have classes per se, to become an actress or to be in front of the camera? What would you say to them to encourage them to continue their passion? Because even though it brought you down to working very humbly, and then you picked yourself up again in your career, and now you're starting all over again in the city.
I fell again, and now it's another start.
What would you say to them?
I think everyone has different dreams. So not everybody wants to be on TV, like me, for example, or being an actress. But if you ask me, the only advice that I could give, if I may, or what I can suggest is follow your dreams and never, ever, ever give up. Regardless of the circumstances, never give up.
When you say that, when you have a passion that you want to do something, there's always going to be an opportunity that will present itself for you to take you to where you want to be?
For example,
let's say that you in the city, you don't know anybody, but your passion is to become an actress or being in front of the cameras. When you say that opportunities will present that will allow you to get you into the right track?
I think that, how can I say, if I keep doing what I love with passion, sooner or later, I'm gonna find the right path for me. Right now, out of the blue, 2 or 3 days after I got in Orlando, through Facebook, I saw a post from a friend of mine who is a producer from Miami, Tony Acevedo, and he was posting that he just moved to Orlando and he was starting a theater company. And I was like, what are the chances of this happening? So
it's what I'm talking about.
Immediately called him, got in contact with him. I met with him the next day. And it is a beautiful story because I found him, he had just signed a contract for 5 years. He rented out a place, and it was an old restaurant, and it was all, dirty and abandoned. And to make a long story short, in a month, a lot of people have got together to help him out and do everything with our own hands. I feel proud to say I clean, I sweep, I put the bulbs, the curtains and everything. And right now we're creating a beautiful, beautiful company, and it's called Café Teatro Candilejas, which is a new concept.
Awesome.
And it is magic. It is great. So going back to your question, I think that things happen for a reason, and I am here. I'm new in Orlando, but I am following my dream.
Opportunities are coming to you. I believe in that. Well,
Thank
it's been
you.
great having you here, Tatiana. I love spending time with women that are persevere.
Alma, thank you so much for this invitation. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you.
Are you proud to be Hispanic? Hispanics in Florida now have the first Hispanic car license plate in the United States. Be a proud Hispanic.
Put the Hispanic plate on your car.
I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a scientist.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a professional dancer.
By getting the Hispanic plate for your car,
you will support scholarships and community programs.
Call now or visit HispanicAchievers.org.
Good evening and welcome to Latina Role Model. My name is Elizabeth Cuevas-Nunder, and I will be interviewing today a phenomenal Latina from Tampa, Florida. Let's have some questions for her, and I would like for you to stay tuned with us through the entire hour. Her name is Ginny Lamour, and Ginny is not just a mother, but also a phenomenal woman that has much to do in the Tampa Bay area. Ginny, welcome.
Thank you.
We are so pleased that you are here with us in one of the most sensational programs, Latina Role Models. We hope that this show will go all over the world, if it is through the internet. But I would like to ask you a question. First of all, where were you born?
I was born in Ridgeway, Illinois.
Okay, and I would like to know a little bit more about yourself, your beginning, what made you so involved in the community, and your future plans.
Well, I was born to two parents from diverse backgrounds. My father's from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, and my mom is because she passed away. She was born in New York and lived most part of her life in Puerto Rico. However, she did meet my father in Chicago, where I was born. And once I was born, they took off and lived in Saudi Arabia for several years till I was about 8 years old. Then we went back to her family in Puerto Rico. Throughout my youth, I spent most of the time in Puerto Rico. Then I migrated back to the States, and I've lived in Florida for most of my life, my adult life. And that includes Orlando area, Kissimmee area, and now currently living in the Tampa Bay area. I am a mother of two. I currently hold a bachelor's degree with Barry University on business administration, specializing in HR. I also am a realtor for Keller Williams Realty, and I am the CEO of JS Elite Marketing Corp., which is a magazine that's called Epico Magazine, and is being implemented in Tampa after having it 4 years in Central Florida.
I have a question for you, because I believe strongly in giving back to the community, and you have been given a lot back to the community. You're very involved with a very special organization that focuses on driving and texting. Tell me your background on that area.
Well, I unfortunately lost my mom due to an accident that was caused by a young man who was texting and driving. This was in July 5th of 2012. She worked for the post office in Puerto Rico for 22 years and was doing her daily job and pulled over to finger the mail for the next route. And unfortunately, this young man was focused on his phone while he was driving and caused the accident that made her lose her life. A Puerto Rican government entity approached me about making a nonprofit organization promoting the message, "Don't text and drive." And obviously, I took it as turning something negative into something positive and create consciousness of the risks that include when we use our phones while we're texting and driving at the same time. It's something that it's actually surpasses the DUI accidents by 25%. So today, more people die due to accidents caused by electronic equipment while we're driving. So we're working hard on that in Puerto Rico with government entities, and I go on a yearly basis to promote the organization together with the government entities, and also to keep the anniversary each year, to just keep that status with the organization as well.
And our message to our audience is never take a negative deep enough that you will be unable to do things for the future. Take negatives and make it positive, because those positive is what's going to make those Latina women very special. Many of them go through difficult divorces, they go through abuses, they go through many pitfalls in their lives, and we need to understand that by being a woman, we are very strong. I want to know more about your endeavor with this new phenomenal, beautiful magazine in Tampa.
Sure. One thing you mentioned, we cannot always take the negative and just be happy, not happy, but settle for that. We have to turn it into something positive. And one thing that happened to my mom was when I turned 8 and she left Saudi Arabia, she divorced my father because they weren't able to agree in terms of culture and obligations. So she raised me as a strong Latina woman, working hard to make a living for her and her only child, which was me. And she set an example for me of being independent, hardworking, not depend on the government, do not depend on a man. You can achieve things on your own as long as you have the grace and the power to do so, and as long as you make yourself believe that you can do. I mean, sky is the limit when you commit to doing what you need to do to be able to reach your goals. I'm also a single mother of 2, and as a single mother of 2, I also looked back on what my mother did for me, and that was an example set for me, for my kids. And I've always been very dynamic. I've never settled for less. And one of the things I started with my ex-husband was real estate. When we unfortunately divorced, I actually took up on my career as a real estate agent independently and started being profitable in the area of Orlando and Kissimmee. Now, I also purchased the restaurant. The restaurant is one of the hardest business you may have.
Of course.
And is very sacrificing and demanding. So when I sold my restaurant after 4 years of running it by myself, I moved to the city, the beautiful city of Tampa, which is growing, has 8,000 acres of port land. You know, we're very dynamic with the exports and all that. So I was given the opportunity to start my real estate career there as well. However, like I said, I don't settle for less. The opportunity came for me to purchase a franchise on Epico magazine after I sat down and met with the founder, Mr. Juan Arturo Morales, who implemented it here 4 years ago in Central Florida. Now I'm implementing it in the city of Tampa Bay, and I'm trying to take it as far as I can throughout the state, because it's a magazine that not only talks about politics, fashion, but it also gives information on health, on different educational information. It's just a very complex, high-end magazine, but it's free to the community. The way the magazine raises the funds to be produced and dispersed is by advertisements and all our clients that advertise through the magazine. So, but it's free throughout the community, and it's something that I just started a few months ago, but it's looking very positive. And just not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago, I had the pleasure to interview our honorable mayor.
I was going to ask you about that, because that was one of the most exciting and much informative interviews that I have seen the mayor give.
Well, Mr. Bob Buckhorn gave me the privilege to sit down with him face to face and talk about all the future plans on Tampa Bay. And we were able to discuss all the great things that are going to be happening, including all that hot topic about the Tampa Bay Rays coming into, probably instead of Pinellas County, into Hillsborough County, and a lot of information that I think it would take a few shows to be able to talk. But yes, the urban development is growing a lot. We spoke about that, but we focus more on how committed he is to the Hispanic community and how committed he is to the minority groups. And as a Latina, I had the privilege to get the heads up on that, and not only that, be able to contribute to that. I also contribute with a nonprofit entity, which is a church called Destined for His Glory. Is in Town and Country in Tampa, and we do outreach projects. We work with the community with whatever we can help them, whether it's if they need to find a home, if they need to have food, if they need help paying the utilities. So we help them out also with that.
Now that we know a little more about you and some of your present plans, what do you have for the future? What are you planning to do in the year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Where would you see yourself 5 years from now?
Well, I would say that I would have my real estate company, my own real estate company. I would also always make sure that I'm setting the example for my kids, which I've done so far. I also see Epico magazine throughout most of Florida, because that's my perspective. I never lose faith that sky is the limit, that we limit ourselves. And if we always focus on our limitations, we're not going to be able to exceed as much as we can. So I also see myself very involved heavily in the community, doing more outreach events to be able to help those that need, those that actually need, whether it be our minority groups, whether it be whoever has that need. We have emotional need, financial needs, and I love to serve, whether it's in my profession, whether it's in my personal life. I love to help, I love to serve. So I just see myself more involved with community events as well.
Well, we have a few more minutes to talk about some things. We will be back because we want our audience to learn a little bit more about Latina role models in Florida. And today I'm going to ask you a question and you answer it back after. But I would like to ask you, what plans are you having for this coming year? And we will be talking about not just involvement with the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce of Florida, but also what would you be doing with your children, and tell me about your boys too, okay?
Perfect.
So we still have a few more minutes to go. Is that correctly? Well, just to start telling us a little bit more about your oldest son, who has decided to make a jump.
Oh yeah, my son Joshua Smith, he is 17. He'll be turning 18 on February 19. He's been in the ROTC program, the naval program at his school for 4 years. And he's actually decided to join the Navy once he finishes school. The way this started was because he actually figured out that if he goes into the Navy, he's going to be able to travel the world. He's going to have education. You know, he's going to have great opportunities that maybe by staying just in Tampa, he's not going to be able to have. So that's the big jump that my son is doing. It's a little bit hard as a parent because you don't want to let go, and you're always going to worry, especially with everything that goes on in this world. It's not like before. You would be the military, not many wars would happen. Now with everything that's happening throughout the world, you know, you're always going to be concerned because you know something could happen and they're going to be sent overseas to take care of what their duty is.
Of course, and that's a worry that we all mothers have, no matter if they are in the armed forces or even college. And now we are going to be touching some issues, for example, the human trafficking that is happening, how to protect our children, especially the young girls. We like all the freedoms that we have, but with freedom comes responsibility. And those responsibilities that we have, we need to focus on them because life is a gift and we have to protect our life at all time. What is the message that you will send to Latinas out there as a Latina role model?
I would tell them, just like I lived it, not only by words, but I lived it. Do not let yourself be led by other people's perception just because you're Latina. Do not let yourself be led by stereotypes because we are stereotyped often. We're all going to face obstacles and challenges in our life. No matter how others look at us, what actually matters is what we think about ourselves. And once we focus, I mean, before you can do anything in life, you have to love yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have faith. Faith surpasses anything. Okay. And faith should be always the last thing we lose in life. No matter how hard it gets, how challenging it gets, to never give up. And sky is the limit. There's no exceptions on people. We can do anything we want in life.
In one sentence, shortened sentence, tell the audience and look at the camera and tell them, to special all the Latinas, what they should be doing for themselves.
Always be better.
So I am going to ask our friends in here to close this segment of Latina Role Models in the state of Florida. And we hope that coming back we have some more exciting information and some other guests that we would like to introduce to yourself, to all of you. Please make sure that you see us in Facebook and also go to the website and like us because we are Latina Role Models.
Are you proud to be Hispanic? Hispanics in Florida now have the first Hispanic car license plate in the United States. Be a proud Hispanic.
Put the Hispanic plate on your car.
I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a scientist.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a professional dancer.
By getting the Hispanic plate for your car,
you will support scholarships and community programs.
Call now or visit HispanicAchievers.org.
We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.